crafters, and welcome back. My name is Deepa from DeeZinesByD, and I have another Scrappy Tails video for you today. So this card features the J'adore collection. This is a collection that's been inspired by Galentine's Day, or a day to appreciate your friends and friendships. So I have here all of the products I'm going to be using. You can see I have this cute heart-shaped tin with all of these gorgeous embellishments. Now there's a sale going on right now where if you get 5 embellishment packs, you'll get the 6th one free plus the tin, so I recommend checking that out. I've got the friendship sentiment plates there along with the coordinating dies. I've also got the sentiment stamp set and the coordinating dies, and the perfume bottles die set. So today we're making basically a dresser. So when you get your perfume bottles, you kind of put them all out on your dresser, and that's basically the type of card I'm making today. I love taking the fancy bottles and kind of just displaying them on my dresser. So that was kind of my inspiration for making this card. So all I've done is I've cut 2 panels of white cardstock, one at 5 by 7 inches and the other one is 5 by 7¼ inches. And you can see I just added a score line there at 7 inches to create a 1/4 inch flap. I'm adding some tape to the edge there, and then what I'm going to do is line the 2 panels up, one inside the other inside the fold, and then I'll remove the release paper and stick down that little flap to create a 5 by 7 inch top folding card. Now for this card, our dresser is essentially going to be our card base. So all I'm doing is measuring out some tick marks and then creating some lines to create that dresser appearance on our card. I've got 2 tick marks at the top, measuring 0.75 inches from the right side and the left side, or 3/4 inch. And then from the bottom up, I've got a couple tick marks measured at 1.5 inches up from the bottom, or 1.5 inches from the bottom. So I've drawn 2 little lines on the left and right side. Again, these are measured 3/4 inch in from the sides. And then I'm going to connect that with the little tick mark I did at the top. Same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to connect that one as well. So once these lines are drawn, all you really have to do is cut them out. You can use whatever you want to cut them out. I'm going to be using my my cutting tool here, and you can see I kind of move the blade back and forth slowly just to make sure that I'm not going to go past that corner where the pencil lines meet. And if you want, or you feel better, the long line you can do on here using your cutter and leave a little bit of space, and then all you have to do is kind of snip the extra bits off with your scissors if you're really not sure about using your cutting tool for this. So once your dresser card base is cut out, you can cut out a few more pieces. So I've got this silver mirror cardstock that's cut to 3 by 4 inches. I've written down the dimensions here. I've got 5 by 6¼ in black and 3.5 by 6 inches in black, again, the same black cardstock. And then I've got 4 strips, which are 1/4 inch by 5. They're just actually the leftover from the other pieces that I cut. They're going to be used to prop up our bottles. I'll make more sense later on. So let's first of all dress up your dresser. So I chose black because I wanted a black wood grain look. You could go with a lighter color, a darker color. However you want your dresser to look is the cardstock or whatever background that you're going to put on your card base. So since I went with the wood grain look, I've got this stamp by Altenew, which is a walk in the woods. It's got a great wood grain pattern on it. There's also the wood grain slimline die in the Scrappy Tails store that you could use instead of using this. And then all you really have to do is cut out a few of them and then just line them up on your card base and cut off the extra pieces. I'm just going to be using some clear embossing powder here, and I'm just going to heat that up and melt it down, and it really gives you that wood grain look. Another thing you could do if you wanted to give it more of an antique-y look, you could use your oxide inks and maybe do some ink blending on the edges. Maybe you can do some I don't know what it's called, but where you kind of rough up the edges so that it looks like a little more antique-y. Basically just design or decorate those cardstock panels however you feel your vision is for your dresser. So now I'm taking this panel, I'm turning it over so that I don't see the wood grain, and I'm scoring it at at 1.5, at 3, at 4.5, and then at 6 inches. And you can see I have like a little flap there on the edge again, which is where I'm going to connect everything. So this is where we're creating the box for our box card. And this is where your dresser would actually stick out, where you have your dresser drawers. So you can see it folds around and creates this square rectangle, or what do you call them? A rectangular prism, right? So I'm adding some tape or adhesive to that flap, and when you fold this over, you see I'm trying to make the corner match up perfectly. It doesn't always happen, and that's completely fine. The main thing is that when you attach it, make sure it's flat, because eventually you're going to want your card to fold flat, and you have to make sure that this portion folds flat so it goes into an envelope. So once that's done, now I can go ahead and attach that longer piece, which is basically the backboard, which is what your mirror will go on top of. So I'll just apply some adhesive and attach that to the card base. Now you can see on the bottom part, I didn't actually do the full wood grain stain. Didn't stamp it fully to the bottom, but that doesn't matter because you can see it's going to get covered up. And I'm also looking around that rectangular prism, the box portion, to see which side has the best embossing on it to determine what's going to be seen in the front. And basically that's all you really got to make sure, that the front portion looks the best. All the other 3 sides, it really doesn't matter. So once that's done, I'll go ahead and attach my piece, which is my mirror. I thought that the silver mirror cardstock was perfect. If mine's got a little bit of like a brushed look to it, or like a nickel look to it, you could always get like the really shiny one, and you could probably see your reflection in it just like a mirror. In the end, I'm going to end up covering this up a bit, so I thought it wasn't too imperative to make sure it shines that much, although shine is great. Now I've got my small perfume bottle set here, and I'm just cutting apart all the dies. Now I've arranged them here so you can see which dies go with which bottle. There are 5 bottles in total, and they range from anywhere from 2 dies for the bottle to 4. So I'm showing you all of the different portions for each of these dies. And then the other thing is, if you want to add more detail, you can actually take that full die and cut it even more, just to add different colors, to do more paper piecing and give more detail to your perfume bottles. So here's everything cut out. I used a mix of pinks and purples and glitter and mirror and just plain cardstock. And you can see I've cut everything out, and including a couple extra pieces to create labels. So I'm just going to go ahead and put together each of these bottles, and all it really entails is a bit of layering. And I'm pretty sure that there's no right or wrong way to do this, just like with any type of crafting or art. So if, say, you miss a layer, don't be too upset. You can always go and draw something in, or add maybe some stickles, some diamond stickles, some glitter glue, something that will make up for that. So don't ever get discouraged if you don't put everything together the exact same way that someone else does it. And I only say this because it's something that happens to me. I'll see certain sets and I'll see how they're put together, and then I sit there thinking, oh my God, how did this person do this? How does it go? And I'll go back and forth to the video, when in the end, really, any little mistakes sometimes make all the difference in making your project look maybe better, or just making it look more unique. Okay, so as I said, for this bottle, I've gone ahead and I cut the main frame of the bottle twice, once from the lighter cardstock and then from the darker purple. And the darker purple, you can see I just cut out the extra little bits. You can see most of it is cut. There's just little bits that still have it attached. You just snip those off, and now I've created a different color for the inside of the bottle, so it looks like it's kind of got a liquid in it. And now I'm attaching, I think this is the 3rd or 4th bottle. And you can see it doesn't take too much time at all. The bottles were actually the easiest part of it after all the die cutting was done. And if you don't have glitter cardstock, as I mentioned, you can always just use colored cardstock and then add some type of glitter accent on top, like stickles. Or even if you have the Nuvo glitter drops, those would work as well. So now I have the Friendship Sentiment set here, and I'm grabbing a couple of the sentiments to put on the front of my bottles, and I'm making sure that they fit because the bottles are different sizes. Both of these pieces are extra pieces that I cut out, and I'm going to be cutting them down a bit to create a label. So on the white one, I put the number 1 friend, Paris. and like Chanel #1. And then I've also got this one here that says best friends, fill your life with endless love. So now you can see I'm just cutting out the labels completely. Some of the lines are cut for you already. And then this one is a little oddly shaped. You get the nice round curvature of that label on the left side, and on the right side it's connected. So I just cut it out however I felt that I wanted it to fit on my bottle. It doesn't have to be exactly round. Whatever I did, it seemed to work, even though as you can see it's not symmetrical. So I'm just going to attach these with some adhesive squares, foam squares, to add a little bit of depth and dimension. And once all of these bottles are done, then we can move on to the next step. So I have these friendship sentiment plates. There are 3 nice large plates that you can use, and I'm going to be using some white cardstock and some prism foil. I do recommend using Hammermill cardstock for the best foiling results. I still did have a bit of trouble because these are such large plates and they foil such a large area. You do have to make sure that your foiling machine is heated up pretty well, but don't heat it too long because there is like an ideal temperature or time to get these foiled properly. So anyways, I foiled it and I cut it out with the coordinating die. There was a bit of underfoiling, but no worries, we can cover that up. Now I'm also going ahead and making these little cubes or little round squares. Not round, but they're what we're going to attach the perfume bottles to the dresser with. And for this one, all I did was I took one of the 5 by 1/4 inch strips and I scored them at half, 1, 1.5, 2, and then 2.5, and then I cut it at the 2.5 score. I added some adhesive to that last little square, and then I attached it to create a complete square. And you can see what I was showing you there, that when you fold down the box portion of the card, these will also fold down flat with your perfume bottle. So everything will kind of go together nicely. Now you can see for this bottle, it's a little bit thinner at the bottom, so it's actually a little less than 1/4 inch. And for the other 3, I kept them all 1/4 inch in width. Now that taller bottle, I'm gonna need more than just a small square. I need like a rectangle. So what I'm gonna do is take one of the strips and score at half, 1.5, 2, 3, and then 3.5. And then I'll cut that extra piece off at the last score mark. And then when I attach this together, I'm going to get a longer rectangular shaped piece. So this will have a bit more sturdiness to it so that it holds up that taller bottle. And you only need one of these for the taller bottle. If you're not going to put the tall bottle on, then you can just use the squares. And you see how that fits on there perfectly. So our next step is going to be to actually place these perfume bottles on our dresser. And as you can see, I'm adding those little boxes and rectangular folding pieces to the actual bottles. Now, when I attach them, it'll make sense when you do it. I want to make sure that these fold flat along with, like you can see, it didn't fold completely flat there. So I've got to turn it upside down, and the bottom of the bottle should fit on the bottom half of that flap there. So I've got it folded flat, and the bottle will stick to the bottom square rather than the top square. So you see how that's going to fold flat when I fold the card flat. So I've done that for all 4 bottles. So remember, there were 5 bottles in total. I decided that the 5th little pump spray bottle didn't actually fit on the dresser where you could see it that well, and I thought that I would actually use it on the inside of the card instead. So my dresser is only going to have 4 bottles on it. So now that I've got all of those little black squares and rectangles attached to the perfume bottles, all I have to do is add some adhesive to the bottom, or the square that's below the square that the bottle is covering. And then I can attach this to my dresser. So I can kind of place some of them a little closer to the front of that piece, some closer to the back, have some more on the left, right? So you can kind of, it has more of a 3D value to it. You can go back and forth, left and right, and the bottle stands up. So I love that, you can kind of dress up your dresser on your card as well. And I find the best way to make sure that it's stuck down nice is to fold it flat just like it would go into your envelope. And once it's folded flat, you can apply more pressure as well. So I stick that bottle on and then I fold it flat. You can use stronger adhesive here if you want. I just use my tape runner. But because my panels have embossing on it that is shiny and slick, that might work better. Now I've got that heart here with that I love you, my friend sentiment, and I'm going to attach that to the mirror, and I'm going to do that with some foam adhesive. And then that fifth bottle, as I mentioned, I'm just going to take it and put it on the inside. I thought it fit better right at the bottom there, and it already has a sentiment on it. So I've got my sentiment for my inside of the card done and the front. So as I mentioned for the heart, I'm going to attach this with some foam squares just to give it a little bit more dimension. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm covering up that mirror quite a bit, so that's why I didn't worry about making it more of a shiny silver, which I think would look really cool too. So now it's time to embellish our dresser, and so that's where all of these beautiful packs come in handy. Now, some dressers, I'm thinking more of the ones that maybe the Hollywood stars use with those bright lights at the top. I was thinking of making mine look like that. And the embellishments that Scrappy Tails has are just a little bit too small for that. So I actually grabbed some embellishments I have from Michaels, and they're larger gems. And these larger gems work perfect as those light bulbs. Now, I didn't want to pick anything yellow because my design has more of like a lighter or whiter look. So I thought that these clear gems would work way better, and they're faceted nicely that they have that shine to them, kind of like a light would. So I just added 5 to the top there to jazz it up. And now I'm going to add all of those cute little embellishments from Scrappy Tails on the perfume bottles and just around my card here to jazz it up. So there are these cute little heart sequins here. They would be perfect for a shaker card, but in this case, I'm just adding a few of them to the design that's on this rounder, smaller perfume bottle. And I'm adding a few pearls to the little triangles at the bottom there. You could put whatever you wanted. This would also work really well if you wanted to, say, cut your die cuts and then just color them in. Give them a lot of depth with some Copic coloring. That would look really nice too. Sorry, my head's getting in the way there. But because of the box nature of the card, it's kind of hard to see over it. I'm adding some more of the colored pearls, the white and the pink, to that heart in the center, and then also to the front to kind of indicate the little knobs of the shelf or the drawer. And that's my card for you today. So I hope that you've been inspired to create something similar yourself. Those cute little perfume bottles are just gorgeous. Don't forget to check out the Scrappy Tails shop for all of the new release deals. Everything that I've used today is linked in my description below within my blog. And as you can see here, this folds completely flat and fits into a 5x7-inch envelope. If you've liked my video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm so excited to be sharing some more of these great girly Galentine's cards with you in the next coming weeks. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.